Hey, my name is Sam Sauter. I've been a digital marketer since 2018, worked with some of the biggest coaches, consultants, personal brands in the world, billion-dollar fund managers, software companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars. Been doing this now for close to a decade, 25 different industries. Today, in this video, I want to talk to you guys about a new client. Just signed on, first few months. I wrote them and presented a webinar for them. This was a huge undertaking for me. It was about, 2 weeks of 4 to 6 hours a day of writing the webinar. It's about 300 slides and then pitching it and then iterating it and refining it. It was a huge process, but now it is done. We haven't iterated it. We're scaling it slowly. We're automating it to work on cold traffic. Okay. This was in a niche that I understood fairly well. I understood the pain points rather, and the person I was partnering with had a very proven background and ability to deliver results. So I partnered with the expert. I served as the marketer, the operator, and helped them to scale up tremendously here just off, this is in the first few months. So I'm very excited about what this, it's typically much harder to go from 0 to 1 than it is to go from 1 to 10. So I don't see why this doesn't, can't be a multiple 6-figure a month webinar funnel here very soon, because we already, just in a little bit of advertising spend, we've pushed towards it. I've pushed about a 4.5 to a 5x ROAS on this just within the first couple months. And that's with, totally from scratch. This is the first of many iterations. So I'm pretty excited. Let's go into the statistics here. You can see 3,186 registrants, 23% show up rate, 752 attendees, 52 deals won, 6.9% conversion rate. That brings us to $85,000 in cash collected over a couple months with an AOV of $1,600 and earnings per attendee of $113.28. Okay. Now this client was running the paid ads prior to me. They were getting about a $5 cost per lead. Actually changed the funnel a little bit, the registration page, to add a little bit more friction qualification. That drove our lead cost up to $10. We put in a very detailed financial model. We assumed a 25% to 30% show up rate, which ended up being exactly correct, and an earnings per attendee of $100, which is what we were getting on email traffic. And we knew that even if we only had $50 to $75 earnings for our attendee, we were still going to be profitable and break even and give us an opportunity to keep refining this further. Okay. Now we ended up doing much better than that when we scaled to cold traffic, but nonetheless, if you are very diligent, you have financial models, you know your numbers. One of my favorite books of all time, Lorenzo Fertitta, is that book, Shut Up and Listen. He says that most small business owners don't know their numbers. Most marketers don't know their numbers. They're not putting out detailed financial models to know exactly what numbers they need to hit in every step of the conversion process in order to remain profitable. Okay. Now, before I get into this video, let's talk about when it makes sense to use a webinar. Okay. Before we talk about how to execute one properly, the markets that I find where the webinar is most commonly effective are in B2C mass market audiences. Okay. These are, BizOp offers. I've seen it. That is the most common time I've seen BizOp work webinars work is with the BizOp offer. And where it can be distilled down your process into a very templatized, new, unique, novel solution. Okay. When not to use a webinar is when you're trying to target busy, rich, high net worth individuals. They do not have the time for long presentations. They're not going to sit down with you for 2.5 hours. This webinar that I presented on behalf of the client was about 3 hours. Okay. And then also it doesn't work well when it's like hyper, personalized solutions. So I would never run paid, a webinar funnel towards, maybe a financial advisor, for instance. That would just be a terrible, maybe if he was pitching a fund, that would make sense. But your financial situation is so personalized and so nuanced to you, it's unrealistic that you can make one presentation that is going to convert the entire audience on choosing them to invest their money with you. That would be done with a call funnel. Okay. I've also just found that relationship and dating offers tend to work better with call funnels because everybody views that as a very amorphous, very nuanced, very personalized thing to them. Okay. Everybody believes they're a special, unique snowflake, even though as us, the business owner, we don't think it's that unique at all. We see the problems every day. We think it's so obvious, so templated, but the prospect feels internally like they need to feel heard. They need to feel as though this is tailored to them or it's just not going to work for them, for better or for worse. So if you do have that need that prospect rather that's looking for that personalization or can't be templatized and customized, I would much rather prefer a call funnel, which is probably 30 to 40% of our business, 30 to 40% are webinars, and then 20% of our deals are actually low ticket to high ticket ascension funnels. Okay. So now let's talk about the pros and cons of a webinar. Okay. The benefits of a webinar funnel is very scalable. Okay. And you do not need to manage a sales team. That's a huge deal. Okay. Every deal that we work for, we generate close to 8 figures a year in revenue across all of our campaigns with all of our partners and all of our deals that we structure with our partners and our clients. It's close to 8 figures a year now in revenue. We're doing multiple 6 figures per month in paid advertising spend to generate that. I spend 10 to 20% of my time on the paid ads, and I spend about 70 to 80% of my time on funnel and CRM and tech and sales team. Okay, that's because you're managing people instead of software, right? If you don't have to manage the sales team, that's a big deal, right? Because I spend so much of my time dealing with the sales reps and the sales manager. Okay. as we've gotten more sophisticated as an agency owner, we kind of moved up in the ecosystem to target businesses that kind of have their shit together and a bigger sales team and sales manager that do a better job. And when I was starting out, I had to work with smaller companies that didn't know how to market, didn't know how to sell, didn't know how to fulfill. And I had to get really, really good at kind of understanding everything from the pricing side, the offer creation, the funnel build side of things, and definitely the sales team side of things. Otherwise, I was going to lose the deal. Okay. Now, so if you're running the webinar funnel, the benefit is it's very, very scalable. You can have one charismatic spokesperson. This is your entire conversion mechanism. You don't need to have a team of salespeople that churn, get angry, get frustrated, go through underperformance and slumps. You can have one person. Okay. Now, the cons of the webinar is that it's very, very hard to make one presentation that's going to convert every single person. Okay. The most profitable campaigns that I've ever seen in my life are call funnels, where you could pitch a hyper template or a personalized solution to every single prospect. If there was something that was holding them back or one tiny little deliverable that they needed tweaked or adjusted, you can throw that in there to get them over the line. You don't have that luxury in a whatever webinar when you're pitching one to many. Okay. The other thing that's really hard with webinars is hard to get every single person to show up. Okay. And it's also very hard to get rich people to show up because they're so busy. Okay. And it's hard to make one presentation that's going to convert every single people and to understand what every single possible objection is in your target market and to address those in your presentation so you can convert the entire room. Okay. But if you can get this proof of concept like we have for the client, like this is a freaking asset. I mean, this client paid me close to 6 figures to write this thing for them because of my track record and ability to do this in the past for other businesses. And the reason is because they now have this asset. They know the words, they know the pricing, they know the positioning. It's so hard to go from 0 to 1. I can't tell you enough how hard it is to go from 0 to 1 because there's so many freaking variables that you have working against you. You don't know the price point, the market, the offer, the positioning, where you fit in the ecosystem, the funnel, the price point. There's so many things that can go wrong. The ad creative, the media buying. I mean, it's a freaking, and then you talk about within each of those things, there's a million other micro optimizations you have to make. So if you can launch a new funnel and get a 2 or 3 or 4x ROAS in the beginning, like unload, like cold traffic, like that's exceptional. Now you can start reinvesting heavily, have the funds to reinvest into optimizing it further so that better conversion rate can allow you to tap into colder and colder markets where your conversion rate is going to drop as you hit scale. Okay. Pros of the call funnel, very easy to set up, very cheap and easy to book qualified calls. The cons are less warm. They haven't consumed as much content consumption. We do a lot of things at West Channel Media to help people that are running call funnels to convert, to warm them up, to increase the amount of content consumption. We can run engagement campaigns to force people to watch long form pieces of video content and then retarget with them with a book a call so they get on the phone. They're a bit more keen. They've already kind of understand your offering. And you can also target the people that have already booked the call, and then you can target them on the back end and kind of warm them up. You can add all the people temporarily after somebody's booked a call to a custom audience, and you can target them with 15 pieces of unique content. That's Jeremy Haynes's hammer them strategy that he pioneered. I'm going to take credit for that. Okay, that's a very, very effective way to get the benefits of a call funnel, but also get some of the benefits of the webinar funnel by warming them up prior to that call funnel with some of those engagement and content first and content second strategies with the call funnel is still my favorite funnel. But nonetheless, I want to go in and kind of show you now that you kind of understand all the context of when to use a webinar funnel, the pros and cons, how we kind of transition and how we script through and how we write some of these presentations. Okay. So let's firstly talk about the webinar or the driving traffic to the webinar. Okay. I find I get better results with free webinars as opposed to paid webinars, but here's the one caveat to that. Okay. When we're running a call funnel, we're optimizing towards qualified application, right? So they have to answer the right applications, and that radically changes the targeting on the Meta AI platform, right? If we just have a basic opt-in of name, phone number, email address, Facebook will default to the cheapest possible option that you have. So I get this so often where people will come to me, business owners, they say, I try and run cold traffic. I always attract, homeless people making less than $5,000 a year, right? The reason for that is Facebook is trying to give you the cheapest possible leads, the highest volume of lead per dollar of advertising spent. If you do not give it feedback and you don't have qualification, you don't have filters and applications that your leads have to go through, and only feeding back to the AI once a qualified lead has gone through, then you're going to gradually just default to the worst possible option. Okay. If you make your pixel fire to only when somebody elects they're making $10,000 a month in income, that is now your floor in terms of your lead quality. Okay. Now, where I see people go super wrong with webinars is that they run the webinar and there's only a free opt-in, name, phone number, and email address, and there's not like their application on their call funnel, and they fail. But you can just add one qualifying question, which is you could do, I saw one for a fitness offer recently that was, how much have you invested in your fitness or in your health over the last 12 months? It's an indirect financial qualifier. That's going to drive up your lead cost maybe 30-40%. Put it into a financial model, see if the numbers still shake out. Okay. But that's going to ensure that you're getting qualified people to come through because you're going to be optimizing towards the right person. You're still going to allow the more less sophisticated, less wealthy people to register and show up to the webinar, but they're not going to be pixeled for that standard event. All right. So that's just one little tip for the webinar registration page, and then have really, really good email marketing, run engagement campaigns to all the people that have signed up for the webinar, hit them with engagement campaigns of that kind of 14-day window from the time they opt in to when the webinar starts, just so that they are getting warmed up prior to that webinar too. You're going to see better show rate, better conversion rates because they consume more content prior to the webinar. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the webinar content itself. Okay. Now I'm not going to take credit for this. This is Russell Brunson and some of this is Jason Flagland. I actually had the chance to have dinner with Jason a couple weeks ago. He's so brilliant. I can't even tell you. One to Many is one of my favorite books of all time. But if I had to summarize and distill everything that I took away from Russell Brunson, Expert Secrets, his webinar script, and Jason, which are kind of the two main influences for me in terms of webinar funnels, I would say that you need to have 3 secrets. Okay. The human brain is designed so that once you go past 3, it turns into many. 1, 2, 3, many, right? So focus on 3 secrets. That's very simple for the human brain to hold on to. And then the thing that just keeps being reminded and retaught to me over time is that you need to focus on storytelling. You need to focus on examples more than you need to teach. People remember the example. They remember the story. They do not remember the information that you shared with them. It has to be incredibly entertaining. And the more that you can be entertaining and you can wrap the education in a basket that makes it incredibly entertaining, you make it easier and more frictionless for that prospect to consume the message that you want to have. I see so many people that are brilliant educators, but are not entertaining, and the information never is absorbed by the prospect because it's too painful. It's too unstimulating to force that engagement out. So it's just the way the world works. If you have to wrap it in stories that are interesting, unique, novel, and have a presenter that is charismatic, that is unique, that can present that in a very, very captivating, energized way. Okay. All that being said, you're going to go into 3 core secrets. Okay. You're going to make a promise at the beginning of the webinar. You're going to make a claim, and you're going to give them some type of bonus for what they will achieve if they make it to the end of the presentation. Okay. You're going to greet everybody, talk to every single person one-on-one. By the way, we get better results with live webinars as opposed to auto webinars. I've also seen some people recently that start with the live webinar feeling like it's a live webinar by addressing every single person there, say, hey, what's up, John? Hey, Karen, what's up? All the people that are in the chat. That makes them feel like, whoa, shit, this is live. And then they click play and it's actually an auto webinar that looks live. Okay. I've seen that work incredibly well, but I'm just not seeing the auto webinars convert like they did in 2016, 2017, 2018. Okay. Now let's get into this. Okay. So the first secret that you're going to tell is you're going to tell a secret about the vehicle. Okay. So let's say that this is a BizOp opportunity. You're going to talk about why coaches, consultants, and agency owners should monetize through, or coaches and consultants should monetize their audience through an app instead of a course. And you're going to tell several stories that illustrate that concept. Okay. It's going to illustrate your unique mechanism. Okay. And that vehicle, okay, has to be unique and it has to be a new opportunity. So it has to be something they've never heard before. And you need to package your offering. Even if your offering is very timeless, you need to package it in a unique way. So you might say, instead of Amazon FBA, it could be Amazon AI FBA. I don't know. You have to package it in a way that it looks new, it looks novel. Okay. The second story that you're going to tell is breaking their internal beliefs. Okay. Fundamentally, the entire webinar process is a series of really getting clear and understanding what that person is going through. Okay. So when I was writing this webinar, I would pitch it to a small segment of their email list, and I would call every single person that attended and say, I'll give you the whole thing you didn't buy. Tell me what slides didn't make sense to you, why you didn't buy, and then I would add that into the presentation. I did that every single time, and I got so much good feedback, and I got to the point where I knew every single objection that they possibly had, and I added that into my presentation before it became an objection, and I added it right at the same time when it would come up, and it's amazing because people would watch and they'd buy, and they'd say, I feel like you were reading my mind. Like right as I was thinking it, you presented it. Okay. Your avatar, your ICP, there's a particular psychographic. Okay. And they all have very similar pain points. Okay. And they have very similar questions that arise at different times in the presentation. It's unbelievable how consistent those questions arise for very similar people. Okay. So your job as the webinar person, as the creator of that webinar, is to really understand all those second and third order questions that come up. And if you can break all of those beliefs in orders by telling stories, okay, stories are a way that doesn't feel like pushing and forcing the belief change on them. It feels like a way you're absorbing that in a way that it allows them to absorb it in a way that doesn't create that sales resistance or that feeling of friction like you're trying to sell on them. Okay. But typically the 3 main stories are, number 1, going to be on your mechanism, your vehicle, your opportunity, your new opportunity. Then the next objections that you're going to have to deal with are the internal things about why I can't do this for myself. So maybe I'm not smart enough. I don't have a college degree. I'm not a marketer, whatever those things are. And then it's going to be the external. Okay. So it's going to be, well, what about Shopify? What about drop shipping? What about other things, other competitors in the market that are going to come up that are outside of their control? Okay. Now, where the magic happens, I always tell people to do this. I did this for myself and my client, like between all of our partnerships and all of our clients and all the deals we're working, we're doing well past 8 figures. Okay. We still, when we're doing this, like me, myself, the CEO, like I still take the time to freaking call all the people that didn't buy when I'm pioneering a webinar. Okay. And if I want to scale further and further and deeper into colder traffic, I need to keep calling people and I need to make it convert even better if it's going to get that next level, if it's going to convert at that next level. Does that make sense? Because as I keep scaling into colder audiences, the presentation has to be even better so that I can increase the spread between my break-even ROAS and where my ROAS currently is, and that will unlock a whole new level of scale for the business, okay? So call prospects who didn't buy, understand their objections, okay? Now, then typically what you're gonna do is after you present your 3 vehicles, you're gonna say, hey, do you mind, me and the team, we made a special offer for everybody that's still here today, okay? Do you want me to make that offer to you today? And they'll typically say yes, okay? And if you don't say yes, that means you did a bad job in the presentation, okay? And then you say, okay, so the first thing you're gonna get is, here's the core offer. This is going to give you the desired result in the vehicle that we talked about. And then you're going to have 5 or 6 bonuses. And the goal is you want the bonuses to have greater perceived value than the entire sticker price of the entire program. Okay. And this is a pro tip here. This is going to help you so much for the people that implement this. What you can do is you can add bonuses that will solve the next problem that they encounter after they get the desired result that they want from the program. So for instance, if I sell a Make Money Online offer and I say, we will sell you an offer that helps you deal with your tax burden, that is number one, might be more valuable than the entire sticker price. And typically one bonus will sometimes be enough for people the one bonus makes it worth it for them. Okay. If the offer itself wasn't worth it already for them. If I was in a relationship offer and I wanted to help people meet more women, one of the bonuses would be how to keep the girl around long-term, right? Like I'm solving their fear of success. I do the same thing on sales calls. Okay. I do the same thing on sales calls. And number one, you can go through this 3-pillar pitch once you get to the point after the discovery on the sales call. But that third pillar ideally needs to be solving their fear of success, because people have that big fear of making that leap. And then they also have this fear unconsciously of the unknown of what am I going to do once I get there? So if you can really paint the picture super clear on what it's going to look like for them once they've achieved the desired outcome, it takes away the friction and the fear. It demystifies everything so that they're more free to make that purchase. Okay. So you're going to make the offer to them. You're going to say, here's the value of that. Here's the second bonus. Here's why that's valuable. Here's the benefits of that. Feature, benefit, feature, benefit, feature, benefit. The value of that is that. The value of that is this. The value of that is this. And then you say the total value is like, the price point that I find works best for webinars is $19.97 to $9.97. Okay. Somewhere in that range, 1K to 2K, basically 1K to 3K, sorry. And then, but your stack and your total value should be like 20K. So you say total value of all this is 20K. And then you want to ask them, I think I stole this from Jason Flagellin. You want to say, if all this did for you was XYZ, would it be worth it for you? If all it did was this for you, would it be worth it to you? If all it did was make $500 a month, would it be worth it to you? Okay. Russell Brunson did this famously when he pitched Grant Cardone at the 10X formula. He said, if all you did was make, here's, this company, they make $1 million a month. Well, what if you totally screwed up and you only got 10%? Would it still be worth it to you? What if it only, you only made 10% of 10%? You made $5,000 a month. What would you do with $5,000 a month? Was that, send your kids to a private school? Like how would that money change your life? That's a really, really good close. And then you say, look, I'm not even going to ask for a fraction of it today. If you want to get started, it's only $1,500. And then what I like to do is I like to add another fast action bonus after that. And I say, for the next 10 people, I'm also going to give you this personalized one-on-one implementation, blah, blah, blah. If you do this, 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 and that'll get a lot of people to say, oh, was I the first 10? Did I buy? And that just keeps stacking the urgency and the scarcity. And that will get a lot of people that rush to buy and be the first 10 to buy. Okay. And what I typically do is I have my entire sales team, all the people that did not buy at this point, they start dialing them and they start calling them and trying to get them on the phone. Okay. And we have a lot of software and we have a lot of AI that goes into this, and we try and overcome whatever little objections are just kind of hanging out over the finish line. And the way I structure this with a lot of clients is these are typically the people that got sales calls, got pitched at a higher price, and then now seeing this incredible, insane discount. So the sales team loves it because they can call people, and sometimes it's literally just like payment objections, like how do I pay? Can I get approved for the financing? By the way, that's another pro tip is use third-party financing, okay, with all your clients. That'll allow you to pay in full for your product without necessarily needing to have all the upfront money. A lot of times they will take over all the default risk of them not making the payment. You collect all the upfront cash, you can reinvest into marketing and scale quicker, and they take on the default risk and the customer gets the product. Oftentimes it's with little to no interest as well. There's also some ethics that come into when you should offer financing, when you shouldn't, but if it's in the prospect's best interest, great way to offer them that is offering them that third-party financing option anyway. So you offer them a third-party financing option, you should go through a handhold close. You should say, go to this link, scan this QR code, go here, click here, do this, enter your credit card information. If you need help, my concierge in the chat. Don't say sales team, say my concierge is in the chat. Call them, get them on the phone with them. The sales team will start closing out deals. And if you do all of those things, I've never seen somebody who followed that script process verbatim and didn't achieve a 7% conversion rate on the entire room or something much, much better than that. You're ahead of 99% of other webinar attendees, but there is a lot of other factors that go into that. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope this was valuable for you. If you're at all interested in hiring a growth partner to help you scale to the next level, my name is Sam Sauter. I've been doing this for close to a decade. Worked with some of the biggest coaches, consultants, personal brands in the world. You can go to my website here. You can see all the customers and clients and, some of the industry leaders that we've worked with. You can see all of our case studies, all my background, everything that I've done up into this point, almost 8 years into my digital marketing career. Here's what our clients said about working with us. So I cannot recommend. So I'm really, anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. If you're making more than 100 grand a month, schedule a call here. If you're making less than 100 grand a month, you can still schedule a call here. It will probably be a better fit for some of my done with you consulting instead of a done for you consulting for my agency. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope this was helpful. I hope to, work from you. Hope to hear from you. You'll be speaking with either myself or somebody on my team. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you thought this video was valuable or helpful. Thanks so much. Bye.